Hello, this is Liam from Lazarus Personal Training, the founder of the No Shoe Crew, and this video is all about how do we structure a workout. We have built up our consistency in the gym. We're coming in 3 or 4 times a week. We understand what the equipment does and we understand what movement patterns we should be training. Now comes the question of how do we structure those things in a workout itself. It's a common question that I get asked from people in the gym as to what order they should be doing things in, and just generally most people are looking for a program to follow. In this video I'm going to guide you through 6 key areas that I think make up a great workout. With that said, this isn't for absolutely everybody, but as a guideline for beginning in the gym, if you follow these step by step, this should help you structure a workout a lot better than it is just to come in and just do random things. And before I get into this, again, while I'm saying follow this structure, that's not to say that if you don't follow this structure, your workout's a waste. The most important thing is about getting into the gym, but this is going to help us optimize our gym time and get the most out of each section. The first area that we are looking at is a warm-up. So the warm-up can be easy just to get onto a treadmill, run for 5 minutes and say, that's my warm-up. Or it can just be easy to skip out on, especially if we're tight on time. But that is exactly the opposite of what I want you to do. A warm-up should be about mobilizing our body, stabilizing our body, and priming our body to get ready for the work ahead. If you've been in an office all day, I can guarantee your hips are a little bit locked up. Your shoulders are probably a little bit pulled forward, and we need to open the body out, put it into a good position so then we get the most out of the work that we're doing. This is where the people that I work with go through a movement assessment. That movement assessment allows me to work out where they might need a little bit more attention before they go into a workout. So then I can say, actually, you're a little bit locked up in your ankles. Let's do some ankle mobility to get that freer so then we get more work out of our legs. Likewise, if you struggle with shoulder positions, freeing that shoulder up might be a really good way to get the most out of our workout in the short term. If we create a better range of motion in the short term and then we strengthen it, that's going to be a better range of motion in the long term. Ideally, this is going to take between 5 and 15 minutes, and as easy as it would be to skip the warm-up, I would always advise to do one, and then maybe if you're really struggling for time, cut down some sets and reps out of your workout. That is how important I think a warm-up is. The next section that I would go into is a strength block. And this is across the board for everybody, whether you're working to get stronger, whether you're working for performance goals, or even if you're working for fat loss goals. Across the board, everybody needs more stability in their fundamental movement patterns. Now, speaking of fundamental movement patterns, I did a video about what our fundamental movement patterns are. If you click the link up there, it'll take you right to that video, and that should be a really good guide about what movements we want to create more strength in. Overall on this, I would say as a general guide to strength training, 3 to 5 sets of 5 reps is a really good place to start. This comes down to energy systems, which is a little bit too in deep for this video, but basically we want big effort in a short amount of time. This is where I think a lot of people go wrong, is that they're scared to lift in a lower rep range because they think higher weight means more likely to get injured. What I want you thinking with this strength stuff is effort over weight. So yes, we might be working in 5 reps, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the weight has to be heavier. It might just mean that we move slower, and then we create strength and stability that way. And this can go on to machines, dumbbells, kettlebells, barbells, body weight. Pretty much anything can be strength work given the right circumstances. But if we are working for 5 reps, you best believe you have 5 reps out of that movement. If you're aiming for 5 and you can do 10, that weight, that effort needs to go up. And again, strength work should be done by everybody across the board, but we scale it to where you are at that moment in time. The section after our strength work is conditioning / accessory work. Now this is based off of what the person's goal is. So if you're looking to get stronger, you might be doing accessory work that helps your lifts get better. If you're looking for fat loss though, you might do some circuit style training where you put 4 movements back to back in a time-based format where you go 1, 2, 3, 4, rest, keep the heart rate and you keep the breathing rate up. If you're looking for general body composition, this might now come into a bit more of hypertrophy work, which basically means a little bit lighter on the weight and the effort, a little bit higher up in the reps, and we should be feeling that burn, basically where that lactic acid starts to build up. That's what we're looking for. Again, this section becomes very much about what your goals are, and this is where you need to think, what are my goals? What am I aiming for in the gym? And then we can tailor that workout to that point there. Overall, with this conditioning and accessory block, this should be quite fun. This should be something that you enjoy doing, and this should be stuff that is outside of our strength movements, that put us into different positions, different planes of motion, basically just challenge the body. After that, I would look at having core as your next block in a workout.
Side to side.
Now, the core should be worked throughout this workout. In our warm-up, we should be bracing. In our strength work, we definitely should be bracing. In our accessory conditioning section, we can put a bit of core into there, but I always think it's worth having a bit of core in each workout to really stabilize that midline. It's a really important thing to have, and being able to brace is going to help us perform better on everything that we do. Now, with that said, working the core does not mean that we are losing belly fat, and this is a myth, and that doesn't happen. It's frustrating when I see people go into the gym and they do an ab workout every other day because they are looking to lose belly fat from that area. I'm sorry, that just doesn't happen. We lose belly fat from being in a calorie deficit. If you're training the core, I want you to think you're training the core because you want that core to be stronger. Now, that might mean that we do a bit of sit-ups and a bit of crunches, but the core also comes into, can we hold a stable position? Can we brace while our arms and legs are moving? Can we do a loaded carry? All these things comprise of core work, and that then takes that into a whole different realm of things, and we don't just get stuck in doing sit-ups and crunches for hundreds of reps. That's a different story. I hate it. If you're interested in knowing a little bit more about what different core movements you can do, I did a sweat on session that was based all around the core. So give that a watch and maybe take some ideas out of that and put it into your own workouts. The final block that we go into is cardio. Now, this is a bit of a contentious one because I know a lot of people would like to do cardio at the beginning because they feel fresher, because they can go further and they're not as fatigued. But actually, I want you to do it at the end. And the reason being is exactly what I said just a second ago, because you're not fatigued. If we do it at the end of the session, yes, we come into it a little bit worn out, a little bit fatigued, and we might not get as far on our run or on our row. That is fine, because I would much rather have you not get as far on a row than go into some strength work where we're already fatigued from our cardio and not complete a lift and put ourselves into a dangerous position. If you have absolutely blasted yourself on a treadmill to then get off and try and do some deadlifts, that is just a recipe for disaster. Whereas if we have done some deadlifts, we are in a fatigued state, and then we get onto the treadmill, we can scale that to wherever we need to be. Now, cardio can be its own session entirely, and I would follow a similar format where you do a bit of a warm-up and then you hit your cardio section. But if you want to do some at the end of a workout, that's absolutely fine, but that's where it comes at the end. And you could do that as some low-intensity steady state, or you could do it as some interval stuff. The differences between it have been researched, and overall, I would say a mix of the two is probably your best bet. And I cover cardio in a little bit more detail in the first edition of this series, so if you go back and watch that, or if you haven't watched it already, you should have an idea about what cardio is. And then finally, we are looking at a cool down. So with that, we're bringing the heart rate and the breathing rate down. It's time to relax and bring ourselves back into a parasympathetic state. I've said that the right way. Basically, we want to go into a position where we walk out of the gym feeling similar to when we walked into it. If you are a sweaty mess and you jump straight in your car, you will cool down anyway in your car, and that is just not a good place to cool down, because then we're going to end up stiff and in a seated position. A really nice way of hitting a cool down is just some box breathing. With that's where we work on our nasal breathing. We take a deep breath in through the nose, hold, deep breath out through the nose, hold, and keep repeating that. What you should find with that is your heart rate and breathing rate coming down, and we come into more of a homeostasis, basically just a relaxed neutral state. We can do some static stretching on the end of the workout, especially if we're feeling tight in certain areas, and just generally bring that intensity right down. So overall, it works in a bit of a bell curve where we get the warm up, we ramp up, we start hitting the strength stuff, we've hit this conditioning stuff, the core stuff comes in, the cardio stuff comes in, and then we tail it out again. What we shouldn't do is go ramp it up, and then when we leave the gym, we are on an ultra high point as if we're in the middle of the session, because we're just going to have a massive drop off. And that is how I would structure a workout. Again, it's not to say that that is the only way to do a workout. There are several different ways you can do them. Again, this is very basic as a guide, but I think it's worth knowing, because then we have an idea of what we need to be doing in the gym, what order we need to be doing it in, so then we get the most out of being in the gym. I hope you've enjoyed that video and you found it informative. If you have any questions about what I've talked about, please leave a comment down below. You can also follow me on Instagram at Lazarus_PT, where I post about training and hints and tips all the time. And if you really like this video, please give it a like, please give it a share, and if you haven't, please subscribe to the channel. I've been Liam, this has been Lazarus Personal Training, and I'll see you next time.